It's not live from Louisville. It's the Luke Kelly Show. Sorry, I'm getting ready to watch Saturday Night Live. Yeah, I'm recording this on a Saturday night. That's how you know I'm really lame. Instead of doing something wild and crazy, I'm recording a podcast on a Saturday night that comes out on Monday. But I know if I don't do it right now, I'm probably not going to do it on Sunday. So that's why I'm recording it right now. Thanks for hitting play on another new episode. Greatly appreciate you listening to every single episode ever. Last week, Apple came out with a big announcement announcing that they are basically killing my childhood. Late childhood, early teenage years. The iPod is going to be going away. After 20 years, Apple said, we don't need you anymore. We moved on to bigger and better things. You remember how awesome the iPod was? To have something where you could put all your music on there and listen to it whenever you wanted. You didn't have to put a CD in. You didn't have to do any of that. It was just a scroll away, a click away. I remember when I got my first iPod. I got it as a hand-me-down from my oldest brother, Ernie. He had one, and I think he got an iPhone, and he was like, here, I don't need it anymore because I have an iPhone. But to me, it was the world's coolest thing, right? He gave it to me. And I was going through his music playlist thinking that I was going to need to do like a complete reset on that device because I'm like, I don't know if he's into the same music I'm into, so I'll probably have to go through and delete a lot. I went through that whole thing. He had so many good songs on there. I just kept it. I'm like, I don't need to add anything to this. He got it all. And I don't remember which generation of iPod it was. It was still one of the older ones. It had like that gray on the back, almost like a stainless steel, black faceplate. It was sharp. So many great songs on there. I would listen to Michael Jackson all the time on there. I know that might sound weird to you, but I was a big Michael Jackson fan. Always enjoyed some of his music. I never met him in person, so I was good, okay? I don't want you to think that the reason why I'm a big MJ fan is because he was able to touch me. No, okay? That's gross. Completely gross. But I really enjoyed having an iPod with me. Before having some sort of smartphone, you really did need an iPod. I remember bringing it out to the golf course. That was so cool. I would be on the driving range practicing during high school, drawing out my teammates. I would get into the zone, bobbing my head to a little MJ, sometimes a little Billy Joel in there. Playlist was all over there. All over. I would like to find that iPod, though. And I would like to put all that music that was on that iPod onto my computer, just so I could relive all that. And then put some new music on there, too. Couldn't believe it. All the different generations. You remember the different generations of iPods that came out? They were a huge thing. Much like the anticipation of a new iPhone coming out every year, people were that jazzed up about getting a new iPod. They came out in different colors. They had the Nano. And then all of a sudden, here came the iPod Touch. It was basically an iPhone. The only thing that you couldn't do on an iPod Touch was call someone when you didn't have Wi-Fi. Other than that, you could pretty much do everything else once that Touch came out. If you got a MacBook in like the late, I almost said late 90s, not that. The late 2000s, I guess it would be, 2007 to like 2010. Whenever you bought a MacBook, they gave you an iPod Touch. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. and I got a student discount. I saved up so much money to get myself a MacBook Pro, so that way when I went to college, I would be good, I would be set. I thought I was a baller having that Apple stuff. Now I just look back and be like, man, I was a sucker. I gave them so much money over the course of my early days in college. I think it was like $1,200, $1,300, but I got that iPod Touch for free, baby. But just think about it. You know, I told you basically that when my brother got his iPhone, he gave up his iPod. I mean, it killed it. The iPhone killed the iPod. Why carry two things around with you? I could see if you're a big music fan and you always wanted to have just a music outlet instead of having your phone and some sort of MP3 player. I mean, there was big-time companies that were coming out back in the day trying to compete with the iPod. Microsoft came out with the Zune. Didn't work, really. Not at all. I knew some people that had the Zune. I thought it was actually better. Thought it was cooler. And then there's just like some generic MP3 players. You would see older people that would be at the gym that would have those older ones. You would see a little kid have like just this little one. He was probably listening to his Blue's Clues soundtrack on there. And that's about it. But the iPod changed the game. Changed it all. And then it was killed by one of its siblings. That's what's sad about it all. Going back and looking at technology and how quickly things have changed, it's so drastic. I always thought when those new technologies came out, I was like, these are going to be around for a really long time. Boy, was I wrong. Completely wrong on that. I remember using my iPod Touch a lot when I would drive to school. You know, some days I told you I would drive back down to school without playing any music at all. But sometimes you do need a little pick-me-up. When you're hitting hour 2, hour 3, you need that little juice to kick you into the last couple hours or the last hour and a half. I would have that iPod Touch hooked up. And it would be with like the little cassette thing. It would be a plug that you would go through the headphone jack, and you'd push it into the cassette player. I think that's what it was in my car. I don't remember which hookup that I had for it. But I would always be looking, making sure that I would have the right song playing, the right playlist on. Because you know you had multiple playlists. If you didn't have multiple playlists, you weren't doing the iPod right. You weren't doing the iPod justice. But I was probably driving like a dumbass because I was always searching. I'm like, let's get one song that I really want. And now whenever I drive, I just yell at people when they're driving like dumbasses. It was on Thursday, I was headed to work. And I knew I needed to leave a little early just because I was going to have some morning rush hour traffic. But man, people suck at driving. I got on the interstate, and I knew it was going to be a bad drive to work. No one was letting you over. Everybody was driving slow. Everyone was so distracted. You had people putting makeup on, people eating their breakfast, people talking on the phone. I mean, everything that you could possibly think of being a bad driving habit was done before I even really got on the interstate, when I was just merging on the interstate. I get on finally, and I'm like, all right, I need to get over 2 lanes because I need to get onto this interstate and not this interstate. So I get over, and I'm starting to drive, starting to pick up speed. I'm like, all right, here we go. I'll still have plenty of time to get to work. I'm Gucci. All of a sudden, traffic starts to slow down. Like, Must be an accident up here. That sucks. Traffic picks up a little bit again, slows down. This time a complete stop. It's like, yeah, most definitely. This definitely has to be an accident. Start going again. There was never any accident, never any police officers. It was just people driving like jackasses. You had people in the left lane that were going under the speed limit. Hey, note to yourself, if you're going to drive slow, stay out of the left lane. The left lane is for passing. There's this tunnel that's on 64, Interstate 64, going through Louisville. You go through this tunnel, and every single day, whenever I go through it, people slow down. There's no reason to. It's not narrow. It's a regular road. You have enough space to the left, to the right of you. You're good. But everybody hits their brakes through it. And it makes me so mad because I don't want to slow down. I'm trying to get to my place in a timely manner. I left in plenty of time in order to get to work early, but I had 10 minutes added onto my drive because people didn't know how to drive. I was just yelling in the car, yelling at everyone. Get over! Learn how to drive, you dumbass! I mean, I was just laying it out there in the car. It was very therapeutic. I'm telling you. Maybe driving for me is one of those ways that I could, I like to relax by not listening to anything in the car. And there's another reason why I like it, because I just get to yell at people. And I just yell. I don't yell at people. They probably think that I'm yelling. Well, I do yell at people, but I never make it seem like I'm pointing at the car in front of me or pointing at the car next to me. I never make it a real huge scene. They're probably thinking, man, that dude has some anger issues, and he is really yelling at whoever he is on the phone with right now. But that's never the case. It's just me yelling at the bad drivers around me. And if you have to deal with morning traffic, oh gosh, it's terrible. I never really had to deal with morning traffic at all. This is the first time that I have to deal with it. I did morning radio. No one was really on their way to work when I was doing morning radio. And then when I did the afternoons, I was going in at different times. Wasn't going in with everyone else, and I wasn't leaving at the same time everybody else was. So I was fortunate enough that I never dealt with rush hour traffic. In where I live in Louisville, man, you run into some terrible traffic. Not even on the interstate. Before you even get to the interstate, you run into a ton of traffic. Sometimes that's the longest part of my drive is getting to the interstate. I really just want to fly places. Even locally. I'm going to be like, hey, can I fly and land on top of your building? I'll get a helicopter just so I could avoid all these idiots. I did see a story this week. I don't know if you saw this or not, but a guy with zero flight experience before in his life had to land a plane because his pilot became incoherent. I don't know what happened to the guy, but the passenger just put on the headphones and started to talk to the watchtower. And the person that was in the tower used to be a flight instructor and walked the person, some regular ass person like you and me, on how to land the plane. And not like an emergency landing on the middle of some road. Not what they did. They were able to guide the regular pedestrian to a runway. And the pedestrian did it flawlessly. It was so good that there was pilots listening in, like commercial airplane pilots that were listening in the whole time. And they could not believe that someone with zero flight experience could land the plane successfully with the help of someone in a watchtower, in the flight tower, whatever the hell you call it. That is impressive. If that was me, I'd crash and burn. I would have been so tense in that situation. You should have heard the person that was training, the person that was in the watchtower, telling the regular person how to land a plane. Calm as a cucumber. Explaining everything. That would have been the only thing to bring me down a little bit. Congratulations to that dude. Congrats to that dude. Nora and I ended the week with a pretty awesome date night. If you haven't been out on a date night recently, do it. Take your spouse out. Have a little fun. Nice dinner, followed by a good activity. A good activity, I feel like, is really needed to cap off a great date night. So we went to a local restaurant, and I said, let's go play mini putt-putt. The place that we like to go to is open for the season again, and they have this awesome special where you get to play. They have 3 different 18-hole courses. So Nora and I played all 3 of them, and we said, loser buys ice cream. That was the whole thing. Loser buys ice cream from our favorite ice cream place, Grater's. We get there, get our tickets. Of course, I got blue as my ball. Got blue balls, yes, at the golf course, at the mini putt-putt place. Nora chose red. And we were going back and forth for a long time. I was getting a 2. She was getting a 2. We were battling against each other. I had 9 hole-in-ones. That's right, 9 hole-in-ones throughout all 55 holes, 56 holes, whatever it is. That's what I did. I was super proud of myself. I got 3 in a row at one point. Nora goes, what is it called when you get 3 hole-in-ones in a row? Is it a turkey like it is in bowling? And I'm like, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if there's a term for that. It's so rare that I don't think there is a term for it. But man, I was looking good. Happy learned how to putt. All I could think of was just Chubbs telling me it was all in the hips. I walked away the winner. We at the end of our whole, what is it, 56 holes or 55 holes? Why is my math horrible in my head right now? Let's calculate this. 18 times 3 is 54 holes. 54 holes then. I was off on both of those. I asked the guy who has owned this mini putt-putt place forever. I said, hey, what are the course records here? He goes, one of them was a 19, the other one was a 21, and the other one was like a 21. Just imagine that. A 19. That means the person had 17 hole-in-ones in one round. That's pretty awesome. And this place has had a for sale sign out in front for the longest time. I mean, ever since we started to go there, it's been there. And I've always concocted this business plan. And I told Nora about this. I said, I want to buy this place. Just fix it up. I was like, replace the greens. That could cost a little bit of money. Do some big time paint job around the whole place. Give it a little new life. But I would have adult putt-putt leagues out there. Think about how much fun that would be. Would you join an adult putt-putt league? if I were able to open that place up and to have a liquor license, would you join? It could be for any skill set. Co-ed, could have a men's league, a women's league, co-ed league. That would be so much fun. I think you could get a local brewery in. Maybe they could set up a food truck and bring out a couple of beers. I think that would be a fantastic night out. Is it a bad business idea or a good business idea? That's what I need to know. It's like it would be cooler, I think, because this place that we go to is so old school. It doesn't have any of the big fancy features that you may get at a newer mini putt-putt place. It's just old school. It is what it is when it comes to putt-putt. And it's easy, but it's tough at the same time. That's why I want to buy this place. I wonder how much it would cost to buy. Maybe the next time I'm in there, I'll ask the guy. Like, hey, how much you looking to sell this place for? If he tells me like $100,000, I'm in. I just need your investment dollars, though, too. I don't have that type of money, but with your help, you can help me launch a dream. You could save animals, or you could help me launch a dream. Boozy putt-putt place. Start brainstorming a name for me, okay? That's your job. Brainstorm a name for me for when I buy that mini putt-putt place. It's going to happen. After a great Friday night out, Nora went out with her girlfriend on Saturday, did a little shopping. I stayed home with the dog. The dog had a fantastic day because she was in the backyard the whole time. And her little next door neighbor was outside pretty much the whole time playing with her. So she was so happy. Me, on the other hand, I found happiness by cleaning the house. I was Mr. Clean It. You know how good it feels to clean your house and to have it look fantastic? When it's like shining because you did such a great job cleaning it. Such a great feeling. I cleaned everything. Walls, baseboards, countertops, mopped, vacuumed, swept. This house looks good. And I still need to do just a little finishing touches. We have Nora's grandma coming into town this week. On Friday, she'll be here. So I want to make sure the house looks really good for her, right? I don't want her to come in here and think, man, they live like slobs. Our house never looks like we live like slobs, but sometimes it looks like, oh, they could really pick up. Nothing's ever out of place. It's just, like sometimes you just need to pick up the house. I did it. I felt great, but then I was like, man, I need a nap. I need a nap, and boy, did I crash. I took a nap. I don't remember how long it was. Probably a solid 2 hours. And it was the best nap that I got in a long time because I'm not a big nap person anymore. When I was in morning radio, I would take naps all the time. It's like my favorite thing to do. I think that was one of my personality traits was napper when I was doing morning radio. But that made me think, what are the best naps to get? So that's where we're going with this Monday's edition of the top three. The top three types of naps. Because there are different kinds of naps that you can take. The number 3 nap for me is a rainy day nap. There's I can't say there's nothing better than that because obviously there are 2 others that are better than that, but a rainy day nap is great. To hear the rain falling, it's very calming, easy to fall asleep. I want a metal roof at one point. So that way I can just, if I had a metal roof at my house, I would nap every single time it rained. Rain hitting that metal roof. So tranquil. It would put me to sleep. The number 2 best type of nap is when you ate too much and now you just got to pass out, because that's the only way that you can become comfortable again is just by falling asleep. And there's no shame in this. Just imagine that Thanksgiving Day nap you take every single year because you stuffed your face with so much food. You're in food coma, and the only way to solve it is with a nap. It's a great nap. But the number 1 nap of all time is you worked your ass off type nap, and now you're going to take a nap. And you don't care how long that nap is. Whether you busted your ass at work all week and finally Saturday hits and you have an opportunity to take a nap and you just crash for a couple hours, great. Maybe you worked your ass off outside all day doing some housework. You come inside, you take that nap. Glorious. Just like me today, I worked my ass off cleaning stuff in the house. Took a 2-hour nap afterwards. There's not a better nap than that. Some may say that the nap after sex is great, but no, not for me. You know why? 'Cause can never do it. Can never nap after sex. No way. No way! My heart gets pumping. That's why. That's why. All right, that's going to do it for this Monday episode of The Luke Kelly Show. It's been fun. Wednesday's show, I have no idea what the hell I'm going to talk about with you then, but you need to listen so that way you can find out what we talk about next time on The Luke Kelly Show.